Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the lab. My name is Jonathan Bodnar, and I have my trusty host, Joel Scrivener, here. How are you today, Joel?
I'm great, Jonathan. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Missed you last week. I know you've already had stuff going on this week, so
yeah,
but, missed you on here last week, and all of you that watched the lab last week, thank you for that. Had a great time. Make sure you share the love, plus press like, subscribe, all the above, and man, buckle up. It's gonna be a good show today.
You're a pro at this already.
Let's do this thing, man. This is what I do.
I love it. So today we are talking about overcoming hurdles to win. And, it can kind of be translated into like how to do the hard things and just plow your way through situations. So we're really excited to talk about this and to really dive deep into hurdles and different. What's a big hurdle in your life that you've went through?
Oh my gosh. This is it's such it's a broad topic, and I mean, you've got everything from childhood trauma, it could be a major hurdle, marriage, just where, my wife and I have been married 7 years now. So together 29, almost 30 years.
But you've been with her for 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
incredible.
So it's, so the relationship stuff, those are hurdles. We had a daughter that died of brain cancer. That's a major hurdle. But realistically, to me, every single day has hurdles.
Yeah.
Every day. I mean, there's, just day-to-day life has hurdles. You're driving in traffic.
That's true.
Has hurdles. My wife the other day, she pulled up to the office and she parked right in front because she said there was a guy harassing her on the road. And so she pulled up right in front of our business, everyone could see when she got out of the car in case this dude was following her onto the property. And it's just, that's a hurdle, man. People make you mad. You got hurdles. There's always opportunities in life.
People make me mad all the time.
I bet they do.
No, but
what about you?
I have had a lot of hurdles in my life, but it's always helped me become more structured and more focused and more, if I get through one thing, I know I can get through something else.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of that, early on it was living in my car, and then it was, how am I going to make money with my life? Where am I going to go? My parents moved, all this stuff. And then it's when I opened a business, it was hurdles every day. It was just these roadblocks, these walls.
Yeah.
And the thing is I just kept going, and I just didn't stop. And so, and now we're here today.
Yeah.
So there's been plenty of hurdles in my life.
So I had this thought, Jonathan, when you sent me this title. It's like adversity is life. It's just life, man. It's
somebody
just life.
tweet that out right now. Adversity is life.
Every day there's adversity. I mean, I had a message come to me today, and it was a friend of mine who's an African American gentleman who was harassed online by an older guy that was a white guy, and then when my guy responded, and these guys are both senior citizens. When my friend responded, the other friend responded that the reason that he felt this way was because he was a victim. And it's like everyone thinks that they're a victim. And it's like just because someone disagrees with you about your political views or disagrees with you because of your stance on whatever. Or, we live in a world now where everybody is so soft and so sensitive, and everybody gets their feelings hurt, as opposed to, my God, just suck it up. I mean, it's playground rules, right? Things happen in life. And I've been picked last on the playground. You ever been picked last on the playground?
I have. And it's one thing to feel like everybody's out to get me. It's a whole nother thing to let that stop you.
Right.
And I think that's the key, is when it's like, everybody's got the whole, like we all have what did you just say? Mentality of victimhood, a victim mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. In some way, we all have a victim mentality, and but the irony is the reality is how are you letting that victim mentality affect what it is that you're doing? Are you letting something that happened to you, or something that somebody said to you, or something that you're going through, or that you feel like, man, this shouldn't be happening to me, this isn't fair, are you letting that affect, there's no bigger thing that you could have felt like a victim for than your daughter passing away.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And walking around with that mentality of, this is a victim. Like I'm a victim. This happened to me. That's the definition of being a victim. Like this happened to me, and it's like me sitting in my car, like homeless, like, oh, why did this happen to me? You see what I'm saying? Like, but we chose not to let that affect us and our decisions. And I'm sure it's, affected our decisions in ways we don't know, but we've chose to come above that. And that's really what overcoming hurdles is all about in your life.
Yeah. Well, here's my thought. How boring would life be if there was never anything to work on?
That's true. It'd be pretty boring. Yeah.
I mean, so think about this. Roller coasters. If a roller coaster was flat, I don't know how fast roller coasters go.
That's a good
50 miles an hour?
I hate roller coasters.
Do you really?
Oh,
Why
I
do you
hate
roller coasters.
I just hate them because I hate when my stomach is up there and I'm way down there.
But that's adversity. That's a hurdle. That's an up and then that's a down. That's life, man. That's life, baby. It's up, it's down. But if you're just going, let's say a roller coaster goes 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If it was 70 miles an hour straight and flat, that's called being in a Honda with the windows down. Right? I mean, it's no fun. There's nothing to it. Right? But it's the ups and the downs. It's the lefts and the rights. Yeah. And I heard a guy say one time, and this is a guy who had sold, I don't know, like 40 million books or something stupid. I mean, he made an unbelievable, he made like $400 million selling books. Unbelievable. Okay. And he told the story that at the exact same time that he was having this type of upward road, he had a whole other side of his life that no one knew about. His wife was literally fighting for her life with brain cancer. So on one side of his life, he was having the most incredible experience, mind-blowing experience, was able to literally give back to the organization, the nonprofit organization he worked with, every single dollar he had ever been paid for in his entire life. He was able to give back to the nonprofit organization because of how much money. And on the other side of his life is dying. Yeah. And so he explained it like this. He said, life is like a roller coaster, but there's two tracks. And at any moment, you've got good and you've got evil in your life. And that's part of the adventure of life. Yeah. So we have all these different things coming up on Halloween. Yeah. Okay. Haunted houses.
Yes.
Do you like them?
Sometimes.
My kids, I've got one daughter that really wants to go to a haunted house. So my wife and I, we have a thing. She loves to be scared. My wife loves, so like jump scares at our house are the funniest thing.
It's like a thrill thing.
She loves it. So if she's in the laundry room, I'll go and I'll hide around the corner and I'll wait, and unsuspecting she walks, and the second I'll jump out and scare the crap out of her.
I don't need to hear about the games.
Listen, man, I'm just keeping it spicy. You gotta keep it spicy. You don't last 30 years if you don't learn some tricks. No, but she's just...
Moral of the story, scare your wife.
Scare your wife. Make her scream and laugh. That's the deal. But that's what happens. I'll jump out and scare her. She screams and she hits me, and then she cracks up laughing. And I did it last night. She loves it, right? But why do we like to be scared?
Yeah.
Because it changes the monotony.
It's a rush.
It's a rush.
Yeah.
So we go to haunted houses.
Watch scary movies.
We watch scary movies. We do all these things, and we pay money to be stressed out.
Yeah.
We pay money to feel something different. But in life, when life hands you something for free, we complain about it.
Yeah.
When life hands you adversity, when life hands you a hurdle.
That's a good point. I never thought about it.
So we pay money. So escape rooms. You ever been to an escape room?
Yeah, I love them. They're amazing.
So you go to an escape room. It's you lock yourself in a room with random strangers.
Yeah.
And with the whole idea in a make-believe world that if you don't get out, you're all going to die.
Yeah.
And you pay money to be stressed out,
and
anxious,
locked in a room.
Right, locked in a room. Yeah. You pay money to do this, and you're creating a hurdle for yourself, and you call it entertainment. But when the crap hits the fan in your life, it's woe is me, woe is me. Why can't we just... What if we're just looking at it wrong?
Yeah.
What if we're just looking at it wrong? And it's like every single day, what if we looked at our life, every day was a new escape room? What if every single day was a new roller coaster ride? What if every single day was a new thriller, movie, and it's entertainment? Yeah. So the problems in our life are now entertainment that take away the monotony, that give us a puzzle to solve. What if we looked at life like that?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what shifting from a fixed mindset to a mindset of opportunity is, and it's, hey, I'm gonna use this to grow. I'm gonna use this to become something, and have fun with it. I like it.
It's an opportunity, right? I
like that.
It's an opportunity.
I'm gonna start using that. That's
think
good.
about this: hurdles, like hurdles. to us in life, we think of it as a bad thing. To the guy who's an Olympic hurdle runner, it's his life purpose is to run and jump over these hurdles. And what does he have waiting for him?
More hurdles.
More hurdles. But if he runs that race well, he's got a gold medal waiting.
Yeah.
He might have fame and stardom and finance and whatever. What if we looked at life and we looked for the reward for getting around the hurdle or overcoming the hurdle instead of looking at the hurdle itself? Maybe the whole problem is we just look at it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, if you'd have told me when I'm dealing with my daughter dying of brain cancer, if you'd have come to me and said, "Hey, man, this is just a roller coaster, it's just an adventure," I'd have probably punched you square in the mouth, right? So I'm not trying to be insensitive, but now looking back, 20 years ago, my daughter died, and now 20 years later, because I chose. Here's the thing, Jonathan. I chose to let that horrific hurdle, obstacle, adversity, make me better instead of make me bitter. Yeah. So I chose to say, all right, what can I learn from this? How can I become better? How can I personally grow? What can I do differently? You know, because I don't want my daughter, she was 18 months when she died. I don't want her life, her little bitty life, to have been wasted. Yeah. So what can I gain from this and make it useful to help others? That's what I did. And so now it's like I'm in a position where and I don't want to come across wrong by saying this, but I'm not angry or bitter or any of that about losing my daughter. I'm not mad at anybody. Not that there was anybody to blame. It was a fluke genetic tumor. But you know, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but I'm not sad that I went through that. It changed me. It made me different. Frankly, it made me more empathetic. Before I went through that type of suffering, I had zero concern for other people, no sense of compassion for other people going through trouble, going through struggles, because I'm like, suck it up. Yeah, just get over it. Suck it up. But then all of a sudden, when it's me going through it, what about a bankruptcy? What about a foreclosure?
Point to me.
Oh, you haven't had a bankruptcy.
I've never had a bankruptcy.
I'm just saying, in
Jesus' name, I won't.
In general, I mean, people could look at that as if it's this worst thing ever. Yeah. But it could also be something that teaches you.
Oh, sure.
You know, and you learn.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit on, when was it? It was on Monday, Millionaire Morning. We talked about one of the hurdles that I had went through with ChurchBase, and when ChurchBase had kind of shut down because Apple just decided, hey, we're done. And we had to, and it wasn't even called ChurchBase back then, it was Apollo Apps. And we had to reinvent the entire platform from ground up just to get through Apple. And we were the first company to get through Apple, and we exploded. We had 2,000 organizations on our product after that. And so, and then 3 years to the date, we sold the company one day on the 3-year anniversary, from one day before the 3-year anniversary, 30-year anniversary before, or when Apple shut us down. Wow. And so it took 3 years for us to go from, we have nothing left, we fired everybody, we're broke. I think I had $2,000 left in the bank account, and I was like, I can't build a platform for $2,000. You can't even build a website for $2,000 anymore. And I'm like, but I'm going to figure it out. And I did. And it was shifting that mindset from a mindset of, it is what it is. This is horrible. This is happening to me, to what is the opportunity here? Can I do this before anybody else in the market? Is there an opportunity to get a leg up on the entire market here, instead of just walking around just feeling like, feeling like, man, my business didn't work. And do you know, I was on a team call this morning with the Hustle team, and I'm sitting there and I was like, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I started listing off all of the failures in the past 3 years that I've had in business. And I'm like, yeah, I tried this and I spent this much money on this and that. And it's like $700,000 of like business failures of just like putting money and it didn't work. And then all of a sudden it's like, I found the niche and the perspective and the pivot that actually succeeded and produced results. And it was like, most people stop halfway through and say, I'm not a business person. I can't do it. I didn't go to business school. I can't do math for the life of me. I can't even do an Excel sheet. I had to call Nick Uzzoni, the COO, and I'm like, bro, help me build this Excel sheet because I don't know how to do these formulas. But I just never quit. And that's the difference, is it just, these hurdles became opportunities. And, you talk about, or you mentioned, what if we just look at them as like, these escape rooms and these fun items. And it's like, that's what I've trained my mind to do by rewarding myself every time I succeed at something is, hey, when you get to the end of this hurdle, I'm rewarding you because you did the work, my brain. And I separate my brain from me, and I'm like, you did the work, you did the hard work, and you kept going. And instead of training my mind to sit in this stagnant, victim mentality of, I'm just not a good business person. My dad didn't teach me business. My dad made millions, way more than I have ever made in business so far. My dad made that money far before I did. Wow. He didn't teach me hardly anything, though.
Wow.
And so I'm sitting here and I could have walked around being like, my dad didn't teach me business. There's so many opportunities for us to claw and blame things on somebody else.
Yeah, it's true.
It's this is cool because it's kind of this encompassing of the last 4 or 5 weeks of different topics that we've done. Like, we've talked about not just mindset and like how to reward your mind and build a process of like rewarding your brain for overcoming big problems. But then we talked about the pathways in your brain and how to really see things from a fixed perspective to a perspective of opportunity. And now we're at a place where it's like, okay, great. You've had a desire to shift your mind, and now when a real hurdle, something in life you did not expect happens, what do you do? How do you respond to that? And that's why we're here.
Yeah. So think about this. My whole business that I launched, my coaching business, launched out of an idea that I had because I was asked to go into this massive organization by a friend and just do a coaching, come in and talk to my team. And I had shared with him my idea for a program. It was a system that I was in the process of creating called Winology, but I didn't have the name for it yet. And I'm in the middle of this coaching team building at this organization that is a multi-billion-dollar organization. If I told you the name of it, every single one of you would know it, and you probably have all shopped there if you live in America or London.
And you've all got packages on your doorstep from this company.
You have. But I'm in this thing, and I'm talking about this idea, this concept, and in the middle of talking about this for the very first time in a group setting, I said, basically what I'm talking about is the science of winning. It's the study of winning. It's basically like, it's Winology. And boom, the light bulb goes off. And I said it and created it in the moment. And it went so well that I got asked to come back. And next thing you know, I was getting hired and paid by this organization. Right. And then I trademark a word. Winology. But every single time I thought that I'd made it, I got shut down. And so then all of a sudden this company says, oh, well, you can't come in. He needs to have a product. So then I had to literally put the whole thing on pause, go write my book, publish it, create a product, and then go back and present it. And they flew people in from headquarters to watch my session. They'd never hired an outside coach or trainer. They had all their own internal training. This is a multi-billion-dollar organization. Never one time had they hired an outside trainer. And they flew a panel of people in to listen to my production or my presentation to tell me no, to politely tell me no.
That's rude.
But it went so well that every single one of them said yes. And they said, we can't wait to see where this goes. And next thing you know, I've jumped through, I got shut down once because someone falsely accused me because I made a statement that was meant to encourage, but somebody got their little feelings hurt, because I made a statement I was telling the story of someone overcoming adversity, overcoming a hurdle, but that person took it as something negative and then accused me. And so HR shut it down. Then I had to work back and make a product. I had to write and produce an entire book, in order to get the gig. But it turned out to be a very lucrative opportunity and something that simply because that one company said yes. And I got shut down multiple times with that company. And then ultimately we ended up going a different direction. But that one company, all the adversity that I faced in that every hurdle I had to jump through, prepared me for the others. And then people would say, hey, what are you doing for this organization again? I'm doing this, this, and this. Oh my God, come do that for me. How much do you charge them? I charge them this massive amount of money. Oh, okay, cool. Well, come do that for me. And next thing you know, I'm getting other companies that are hiring me because if it's good enough for this company, it's good enough for me.
All out of continually chasing hurdles.
Yep. And every single time I turned around, it was a massive hurdle. Every single time I turned around. So, and then the other piece is sometimes life is sending you a message, sometimes you're banging your head in the wall and you're the only one not listening. and you're running into hurdle. And if you take a step back, and this is again why it's good to have advisors and people you can trust. If you can take a step back and say, hey, do you see something I don't see? Because I keep hitting my head on this thing. And sometimes the people in your life can say, hey, the way you're going about this isn't the right way. You should adjust this, and this. And that's why you have a coach, and that's why you have a community, and that's why you have advisors. And I mean, my wife constantly sees things that I can't see, and she'll say, "Well, this is this and this," and I'm like, "Well, no, that's what I'm." And she's like, "No, I'm just telling you." Sure enough, she'll be right. And we have a running joke in my organization that if my wife ever says you need to be fired, you're just fired on the spot because she's always right. So stay on her good side, baby.
I'm not going to cross her.
Stay on her good side. She's always right, man.
So the moral of the story is that if you look at a hurdle as an opportunity and you run for the hurdle and you continually just like hurdle after hurdle, like keep going, where is that moment where you need to reevaluate? Where is the moment where you're like, it is not working? Because I could have picked, if I'm being honest, like there are probably 5 or 6 moments in the past 3 years where I could have been like, this is not, this isn't for me anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I kept going and I reached here. And so it's like, where is that moment? You know what I mean? Because it's like, the reality is it almost, I believe, and you're welcome to disagree with me or prove me wrong, but I believe that it literally, no matter what it is you want to do, if you are consistent and long-term on it and you work hard on it, given the right amount of time, which you might not always have, but given the right amount of time, you can accomplish literally anything. Yeah. Think about a bad singer can literally be a good singer given the right amount of time. I went to a funny story. I was, a while back, I decided I want to sing a song, and it was going to be a gift. And I really wanted to play piano and sing a song. I was like, and it was for this family that meant a lot to me. And I was like, I just want to learn how to sing this one song that was like this, I don't know, it's like a thing. And I went, and I'm tone deaf. I can't carry a tone. I can't carry a beat. I can't sing worth the life of me, but I can match. Like I can, whatever is that?
Match pitch?
Yeah, match pitch or whatever. So I went in and I bought a lesson, and he goes, hey, it's going to take you about 6 to 8 months before you even get anywhere that's even worth being, with your voice. And then it's going to take you probably 3 years before you ever actually are able to sing by yourself without, and I'm sitting here like, are you serious, man? But the reality is no matter how bad you are, given the right time, and I chose in that moment, nope, not for me. I'm not going to do it. This is not a hill I'm willing to die on. And I bought him a gift instead. So,
well, and there is talent. Yeah. You have to have talent, right? Yeah. I mean, so you obviously do not have talent when it comes to singing. That's not my talent either. We have different skill sets. Yeah. But you have natural talent. And so I would say you need to find the areas where you have some natural talent. Because you already got something, you already got some Momo there. You've already got something working there. Find the areas where you have natural talent and then invest your hard work there, number one. Because it's got to be, remember, going back to the whole thing, what do you love? Yeah. What are you willing to sacrifice for? What are you willing to suffer to accomplish? What do you have a real talent and a gift, and potential in? And because those are the things that you're going to run into hurdles no matter what. But if you have natural talent and natural gifting and a natural love or passion towards something, it's going to get you through the hurdle a lot easier than if you don't.
Well, I think what I've found in life and what I've found especially in business is the kind of that question of, well, where's the goalpost? Mm-hmm. Like, where do you stop and say this is no longer worth it? Is when I look at the cost and I say, is the reward, the potential reward worth the cost of what I'm putting into this? And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking time away from your family, your time, energy. Your energy, your mental capacity. What is it truly costing you? Because is there something else that you could be working on that is more efficient to get you to that exact same goal? Right. And what I do is I compare. I say, okay, I'm working towards this. This is the end goal. And I compare that end goal and I say, is there any other way that I can reach that end goal? And multiple times in the past 3 years, it's yes, there is. Yes, there is a better way. And sometimes I didn't realize that there was a better way until halfway through or something. But that's when I called it quits, is I said, the cost of going down this road is far too expensive and the reward is not there. And I could reach the same reward on an either easier pathway or a more efficient pathway. It's not always easier, but a more efficient pathway. And so I think to answer the question, the moment where you sit down and evaluate, is the cost, I think anybody can do anything, but is the cost of trying to do that more expensive than the reward at the end? You know, because you don't do things to break even.
Worth it?
You don't do it to break even. You do it to come out on top.
Right.
And will you come out on top? And I'm not even talking monetarily either. Like just what is that reward, and will you come out on top of that reward with the cost that you're putting in? And that's really, and ideally, you don't want to just come out on top. You want to 10x anything you're doing, you know, 10x where you started. And so, or what you put into it. And so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll dig a little bit more into hurdles and identifying right hurdles and how to get through them and everything. So we're very excited. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the lab. We're so glad that you're with us. Hope you enjoyed your break. We are going to answer some questions here at the end. So if you have any comments or questions, you want to throw those down inside of the chat. We'll jump on those. Also, make sure you like and subscribe and share this with your friends. We did have one question already. Scott asked if you can actually drink out of the trunk of this mug. And Scott, I have a question for you. How bad do you want to find out, buddy? What do you put some money on the table?
How many more founder cards are you going to buy?
I'm not going to degrade myself on camera just because you're curious. That's all I'm saying, Scott. So anyway, no, but I want to jump into this. Jonathan, you mentioned something that I already had in my notes. Jonathan and I, he shot me a title and I wrote up a bunch of stuff and he wrote up a bunch of stuff. And this whole thing is literally a laboratory experiment. We never know what's going to come out. That's why we call it the lab. Just going to break down some stuff, rap back and forth with each other. But he literally, the things that I'd written down, he was popping off ideas about, and he didn't even know they were in my notes. He's like, I couldn't see your notes. And I'm like, well, you know, that's crazy because you were literally hitting the points through my notes. And so I had this thought, and I want to ask you a question because you brought up, and I written down in my notes, that I wanted to hear one of your stories about how you reward yourself when you take on a hurdle, when you overcome an adversity, when you have something that's hard in your life that you go and accomplish. How do you reward yourself? Because I do the same thing. For example, I hate the number one thing that I hate doing is my taxes. I just hate doing taxes. I hate it. I procrastinate. I put it off. But
you know, you can pay people.
Yeah, I do. But it's all the pre-work.
Yeah, so it's all that. Hey, I need all this paperwork. I'm like,
getting every single thing together. Then I have to whatever. So what I do every single time. This is my favorite. My favorite thing to eat is sushi. It's my favorite. So when I finish my taxes and I write whatever check, and hopefully it's a small check that I have to write, or it's a good check if I'm getting something back or whatever. But I never get anything back to you. I never do. No, it's always
I haven't got
the
anything
other way.
back in a very, very long time because why would I pay the government so that they could have a free loan to go abuse it and then give it back to me without interest?
Right.
But if you don't pay them, guess what? You're paying interest.
Exactly.
So we're not going to talk about anarchy, but
It's not a political show. Not a political show. But so my point is, every single time, that's how I reward myself. If I have a hard day, if I have a really hard meeting, food is my love language. So I'm gonna go, man, maybe have some sushi, have a nice glass of Chardonnay, something like that. Not that I'm a Chardonnay guy, I'm more of a Pinot Noir guy, but whatever. But it's, you know, it's a reward, right? A little bitty thing like that. Jonathan, I know you have a number of different ways that you reward yourself, especially when you do big, elaborate deals, right? So you got little things. Give us a couple stories.
So I started with just taking myself out to a restaurant.
Okay.
Right, good glass of whiskey, good steak, right? Because that was $100, $150. And then I got into tennis shoes and sneakers, and I love sneakers. And so I have a lot of sneakers that I don't even wear. I just wanted them to own them, and just really, you know, nerdy sneakers, and all Jordans, of course, Jordans, Yeezys, things like that.
What size do you wear? Just checking in case I need to go raid that closet.
Actually, no, because it's different. It's different. So Yeezys are 9.5. Some Jordans are 10, and some are 9.5. It's really annoying, actually. But anyway, so you got to buy them, and then I was buying them off Goat. But anyway, this hoodie was one of the rewards, and so early on, and then it went from that. It's all about dopamine. How do you produce dopamine in your mind? And everybody loves getting something, you know, it's showing up on the porch. This laptop was actually a reward for a small deal that I did. But then over time, it got bigger, and I realized that I can't just reward myself with dopamine. I have to reward my mind with rest. And that rest is actually a phenomenal form of not just recouping and you know, and healing, but also your brain appreciates that more than it appreciates dopamine. Dopamine wears your brain down, whereas you actually have to recover from dopamine hits, but you don't have to recover from rest. And so, so I
would that
bought
be the
a lake house.
serotonin? The serotonin
I don't know actually, but maybe. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But I bought a lake house because I was like, I can reward myself by taking a step away. And like anytime it's super, super stressful, I leave for the weekend. I'm like, I'm gone. I'm taking this time. I'm just putting my hands to something. I've rewarded myself with cars before. I've given myself goals. There was a contract, my biggest contract I had ever done. It was $100,000. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And I asked my wife, I said, and this is a tip for all you husbands. So I had already closed the contract, but I didn't tell her yet. And we had this big budgeting meeting, and it was like, they hadn't signed yet, but they had verbally told me they had closed. So I went to her and I'm like, if I close this contract, I'm buying this car. And it was my Lexus LC or RCF, and freaking gorgeous, blacked out, you know, red seats. It was a dream car. I went from a Chevy, some weird Chevy. I don't remember which Chevy it was, but some weird Chevy to a Lexus, and it was amazing. And so she said yes. Like she was like, yeah, if you close the contract. And then the next day I pull up in the Lexus and I'm like, signed and done, babe. Wow. And she was mad, but but anyway, all that being said,
she didn't read the fine print.
It's really about what works for you. Yeah. And it can be the smallest thing. Exactly. It's all about producing dopamine and then allowing your brain to rest. Yeah. After every hurdle. And scientists have actually proven that the stress, if you do not deal with the stress that happens every single week, if you don't deal with that, it begins literally affecting your brain. Like pieces of your brain start shutting off, and it causes memory issues. It causes all this. And so the best way to deal with stress is to rest.
Yeah, that's good.
Rest. Like there's so much power in taking a day off and just not doing a single thing in that day, like work related, and rest. And it's hard for me, but I find, and it's a Jewish phrase, he who works with his mind Shabbats with his hands, and he who works with his hands Shabbats with his mind. And really that's all about, I work with my mind all the time. So I rest by doing something physical. So being out on my lake house and like fixing things and working on things. So
and
so
for me, it's mowing.
There you go.
Chainsaw. Like this last week, I just cleared all through the woods. So we have 12 acres, but I had about 5 or 6 acres of woods. And so I was able to clear with this big forestry mulching machine, hiking and biking trails all through the woods. And that was how I rested. Yeah. And it was 6 hours, 7 hours of hard work, but it was so rewarding. And now I get to go walk in the woods on my property. Before I couldn't even get through it. It was so thick.
Because it's a different form of satisfaction, you know? And so building your own personal reward system is so important because it makes your mind want to figure out those hurdles. You know, how I say like, you hate money, and everybody's like, no, I don't hate money. And I'm like, you do, because every time you think about money, your brain is thinking, I don't have enough. I have to pay bills. I don't have enough for rent. It's always a negative connotation. Right. So it's the exact same thing as you hate hurdles. You hate struggle because you think struggle is bad. Right. You have to teach your mind to be addicted to overcoming hurdles and solving problems. That's all I do all day long is solve problems. And I can't stop. Unfortunately, now my mind is so addicted that I can't stop. I'm laying there at 2 a.m. So anyway, I'm cutting into your notes.
Well, no, it's all right. It's all right. No, that's good, man. For me, like a lot of what I do is conflict resolution. Yeah. Like that's a big part of what I do is conflict resolution, whether it's, working in different companies or with my own employees or whatever. There's always the personnel hurdle is when you're a business owner, the personnel hurdle is constant and never ending. Yeah. And it's so frustrating. You get people set up, put in place, going great, and all of a sudden they bone something up, and it's just or that yeah, we're with you, we're doing this, and next thing you know, oh, I took another job over here. It's like 3 weeks ago you were with me, and this was your dream job, and now you took another job, and it's like, get the heck out of here. It's just tough, right?
Get the heck out of here.
It's a challenge, but the way I look at it, so I have people that say, hey, I really need to talk to you, and I know other people that they won't have a meeting unless they know what it's about.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that takes away the excitement.
Yeah.
I like the excitement of walking into a meeting and having no idea.
I don't know about that.
They could be mad at me. They could be happy with me.
Yeah.
They could be have a problem over here. But it's a puzzle for me.
Thrill.
It's an escape room.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting into, and so instead of me being insecure, and I so there's another leader that I worked with, and he was so insecure he couldn't go into any conversation that he didn't know the parameters, and he couldn't prepare. And if he was caught in a conversation he wasn't prepared for, he would opt out. He just wasn't good at that.
Yes.
For me, it's like those are the moments that real conversation can happen, right?
That's
I mean,
good.
like for example, what if every single conversation with my wife was planned?
Ooh.
How horrible would that be, right? I mean, there's no intimacy, nothing, totally boring. Again, and it comes back to that of just having the mindset of, this is the adventure.
Yes.
I want some excitement in my life. I don't want to live a boring life. I don't want to, I want the roller coaster ride, not the Honda ride.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter how fast. Like, for example, I sold my motorcycle, but I sold it so that I could buy a family ATV, and then I ended up not doing it yet. I donated money to an organization I'm helping and whatever. But at some point I'm buying this family ATV, and it's a 6-seater. It's it's awesome. It's got like a it's
the
incredible.
most dad thing.
Man, it's like a miniature dump truck with 6 seats. It's exactly what it is. But the feeling of the wind in my face, that is so. I'm an experiential guy. You buy hoodies and shoes. I want the experience. Everything's about the experience for me, right? And so it's a food experience, it's a wine experience, it's it's a coffee experience, it's a go get a massage, whatever, that kind of thing. I like the experience, and that's how I reward myself. So I'm curious, maybe some of you have ways that you reward yourself or ways that you overcome hurdles. We'd love to hear some of your comments. If you have questions about anything except the functionality of my trunk on my elephant mug today. If you have any of those, we'd be happy to answer some of those questions. But it's the mindset of, I'm open to the adventure. Every day is a new challenge. If you woke up every single morning and you're like, I wonder what kind of hurdles I'm going to have today. Hot dang, I'm going to solve some problems today. I mean, some of you love puzzles. Some of you love, whodunit type shows. Where you're trying to figure out the mystery. You love mystery shows. You love thrillers. Dating relationships. When I was dating back in the day, I never dated girls that had it all together, that came from perfect. I always liked the adventure.
You know what we call that? Captain Save-A-Ho. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I don't know either.
Oh,
no
Lord.
comment. But it was, before I married my wife, I was dating this other girl. Sweet girl. I mean, literally perfect girl, perfect home, beautiful. But she was just boring. My wife excited me so much. It is like, my wife is like, her whole personality is an adventure, and it was the excitement of that made me so attracted to her, where it could have made more sense mathematically. This relationship makes more sense, but this relationship drove me crazy in a good way, and sometimes in a bad way. But that's part of the adventure, you get to overcome.
My wife tells me that all the time. She's like, I married you because you're broken. And I was like, oh, thank you.
And
the
psychopath.
The other side of that is Captain Save-A-Bro.
Save-A-Bro. She saves a bro.
Save-A-Bro.
I didn't mean to call your wife a psychopath. I'm just kidding. She's like a mad
I mean, she's
scientist.
a counselor. All counselors are psycho in some levels.
I don't want to talk about my problems. Let's talk about your problems.
Exactly. She's like, I think I talk about other people's problems so I don't have to look at my own.
Oh, very insightful. Very
okay,
insightful.
We do have a question.
Okay.
Scott actually asked, going back to the hating money talk, that is my biggest hurdle. I feel guilty for rewarding myself, and as a result, basically punish myself for rewarding myself. Any suggestions?
Wow. Yeah. I think number one, Scott, thank you. Thank you for the transparency. That takes a lot of guts to be that open and honest about that. I'll make my own confession. I grew up poor. My parents, actually, not until I was probably 11, 12, my parents went through a major bankruptcy. We went from being the average middle class suburban family to a bankruptcy and then struggling. And I was the 13, 14-year-old kid that had to have a job if I wanted to have clothes or wanted to wear the type of clothes. I mean, I bought my own lunches. Yes. I had to buy my own car. I had to pay for my own insurance. I had to pay for my own college. Yeah. There was nothing. There was food on the table, yes. And there was a roof over our head, but no frills. All of my hobby that turned into my career, I earned it. I was Danielson, man, wax on, wax off. Yeah. And so I literally, because of how I grew up, I look at money. Oftentimes I could look at money with a scarcity mindset. Yeah. My wife grew up totally different, and so she looks at money from a different angle. And we're good for each other in that way, right? But my question to you is there something from your childhood? Because for me, like, I'll never go, and this is my weird confession. I have friends, you probably go all over the place and you don't have cash on you, or sometimes you have cash. I never go anywhere without cash on me. At any given moment, but it's a security blanket. Yeah. It's a security blanket for me. It's like if the crap hits the fan, I got $200 cash. I'll get somewhere. I'll figure something out. It's just this weird little thing. And my wife will say, "Hey, I need some cash for this. I know you've got some cash on you." I'm like, "No, you can't have my cash. That's my emergency cash. Get your own emergency cash. Don't touch my wubby. This is my security blanket, right?" And it's just this weird thing, but it comes from my childhood of I don't want to find myself in a place where I don't have the ability or the power, because that's what it comes down to. It comes down to the power to fix, the power to get out, the power to escape. Yeah. So my question is, and I can relate because I'm not into things. I'm into experiences. Yeah. But anything that I have, if I have a nice pair of shoes, if I have a nice new coat, if I have anything, my wife bought it for me. I can't. Oh, wow. I don't buy things for myself. Yeah. So I probably can relate to you, Scott, on that on some levels there. But the first and foremost thing is, you got to figure out, why don't you deserve good?
That's good.
Why don't you deserve good? Yeah. Because I don't. You're a human. You're a human being. Yeah. From my perspective and my belief system, made in God's image. And you deserve good, right? If you're an evil or a wicked person, then maybe, but why is it that evil and wicked people tend to be so good at rewarding themselves and hoarding to themselves, right? So chances are you're actually a really, really, really good person. And for some reason, you don't feel worthy of rewarding yourself. You feel bad about it for some reason. And there's got to be some kind of a connection to your story. Maybe a trauma you went through, or maybe something you endured, or something you watched. And a lot of times, I don't know if we talked about this yet or not, but if not, we could do this in the future. Did we talk about the unholy vows, like childhood vows?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
But there's places like where you probably made a vow, I'll never be poor. Yes, yeah. Right? For me, it was, I'll never be a victim. I'll never have someone take advantage of me. Yeah. In which I wish that, I still have had some of those situations in my life, business situations, whatever. But number one thing is, you got to recognize, and even like having a personal statement, man, I'm worth it. Yeah. I'm worth it. I work hard. I'm a good person. I deserve a smile today. I deserve to have this thing. And I, everybody gets buyer's remorse at some point for some little thing like that. But just the simple concept of recognizing that you are good, you're a good person, you want to do good things for the world, and you're worth it. Yeah. You're worth having a nice thing. You're worth having a nice experience. If you were evil, you wouldn't have these feelings. If you were a psychopath, you wouldn't have any concern for hoarding to yourself. So the fact that you have that feeling, you have it because you're a good person.
I think you're 100% on point, and I have 3.5 points. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, if I were in your shoes, Scott, and if I felt like I didn't want to reward myself because I didn't want to spend my money, then point number one is, it doesn't have to be money. Think about the goal. The goal is to create a dopamine effect. Go do something that creates dopamine. There are plenty of things that create dopamine that are not revolving around spending money or a lot of money. Yeah. Go to the park, take a walk. Yeah. Like, I know that might sound small, but start small, start very small, and create a dopamine effect every time you are rewarding yourself. Candy Candy does it. Honest to God, candy creates dopamine like instantly. I ate candy constantly, and now I gotta stop because it's holy crap. But I ate candy all the time. So number one, it doesn't have to be money. Number two, it doesn't have to, and this is the half actually, so 1.5. It doesn't have to be you. Giving creates dopamine.
That's really good.
Some of my biggest goals in life that I don't talk about a lot are giving.
Yeah.
If I bought a hoodie for $150, you better believe I just gave $10,000 away to somebody, because I cannot justify spending more on myself than what I spent giving to somebody in a whatever situation. So when I sold the water company, for the first time ever, I bought myself a really expensive watch. It was I think it was $11,000 pre-tax, so $11,000 watch. But I also gave away, on that transaction alone, I gave away 10% of the transaction, and that was $70,000 to nonprofits. And so it does not have to be you.
Really
you can create a dopamine effect by going out and giving to somebody else. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding in the entire world than giving to other people, right? And the third point I would say is that think about the end. Right? Think about the end in mind. When you are, and I know this is macabre and I always say this, but if you are laying on your deathbed, the 10, 50, 30, 40, $100 that you are saving by not spending, do you think you're going to care about that $30? Do you think you're going to care about that $100 when you're laying on your deathbed? The answer is no. Now work your way backwards and realize that that doesn't matter. That 50, you have to convince your brain that that $50 does not matter, because at the end of the day, what matters is the time you get to spend with people, the impact you're having in the lives around you, and the experiences that you were able to build in this life that taught you something. If you're never going out and having experiences, you are not learning, you're not growing. A body stagnant is dead. Living things move, living things experience. So what I'm trying to shape here is that it doesn't have to look like going out and buying a pair of shoes or going out, and it can definitely be attached to helping people. It doesn't have to be money, and always, always, always look at the end first and work your way back and say, you know what? Not only do I deserve this, and not only did I work hard, and that was point 2.5, but here's point 3 is I always set the goal before. I always have a goal beforehand, because what happens is I feel guilty if I spend the money afterwards, but I don't feel guilty if I set the goal prior to actually completing that, because then it's already preset. It's pre-spent. I said, if I make this deal, I'm going to spend $100, $200, $300 on this, and I have a goal in mind. Why would your brain drive to make something happen if you didn't set the goal in the first place? So your brain has to have something to work towards. So when we were trying to sell the water company and everything, we were looking for a lake house, and we didn't have the money yet, and we were looking around all this stuff, and I told my wife, if I sell this, if we get this deal, we're getting a lake house, and we're looking at them, and we're so excited, and we're putting ourselves in that place. And so I know I'm rambling, but that's the kind of summary of all of it. Is like, start with the goal in mind first. You have to start with the end in mind. You have to say, I'm going to do this, and this is my reward. And then you don't have to feel guilty because it was already budgeted. It was already part of what you're doing. It's not about going and taking money you've already made and rewarding yourself. It's, no, I'm going and adding additional money to this, pile, and out of that additional money, and you feel less guilty. So anyway, those are my 3.5 points.
That's good. So I've heard people say, in the investment space, people say, always pay yourself first.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what they mean by that is every time you get paid, you put some money in savings. You invest for your future. You pay yourself first. Before you pay your bills, you pay yourself first. What Jonathan and I believe is, well, I'm going to say it this way, because we both believe in the principle of tithing, right? Yes. So giving 10% of everything that comes in, we give away. So you
and
can
it doesn't have to go to a church. That's the thing is the 10% we give away from our business, $400,000 this year alone out of our business, Apollo, has went directly to nonprofits, not churches. And that's the difference is if the whole concept of 10% or a tithe rubs you the wrong way, don't give it to a church, give it to a nonprofit. There are plenty of nonprofits that are doing amazing things. And so I just wanted to clarify that it doesn't even have to be a religious thing. It's a principle, is giving first.
It needs to mean something to you, right? It's a cause. It's because that's part of the reward too. Is if it's you're giving towards something that is a cause. So it could be a church because that's a cause that means something very much to you. But it also could be an organization that saves babies, because that means something very much to you, right? So that's an important principle. So for us, it's we would pay God or pay to good things to other people, then pay yourself. And then you pay all your whatever. And so it's that priority that you've got to take care of yourself, is because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not good for other people.
If you've stuck around hustle any amount of time, you've heard me say that the single biggest catalyst to my success was giving.
Absolutely.
Was the fact that we donated. Out of every dollar that hits the bank account, it's 10% gone. Like that is so important to me because I watched my life go from I have absolutely nothing. I can't pay rent. My wife's on the couch crying because we have no money. Like what's going to happen? We had just got married. I'm like, I'm going to make it. And when I started, and I wasn't tithing back then, and when I started giving away 10% of my income, gross income of everything that hit a bank account, doesn't matter what bank account, and I almost double do it because I do it on the company, and then also that money that hits my personal bank account, I also give 10% because it's such an important principle in my life, and it's a habit. It's not even about the amount of money. It is a habit that I have produced because I know that habit changed my life. And the more that I gave, the more that everything was blessed. Everything kept working
for me. So I mean, with my business, we give, I have a couple different businesses, the business that comes to me as personal income, but it's business income. It's where I'm giving 15% off the top, because it's addition, it's side, whatever. My main income, I'm giving the 10% plus, and then same thing with the actual organization that we run. We're giving away minimum 10%, no matter what. I mean, so it's this mindset of be the biggest giver. And what happens is you end up being an incredible receiver because you're such a great giver, So
whether you call it God, the universe, just a universal principle, it doesn't matter because it's a principle that is so effective.
It's a creation,
so powerful.
It's how the world works. It's how the system in the earth works. So we all live on the earth, right? And you cannot put seed in good soil
and
without
it
a
not
harvest
produce.
Coming, right?
Exactly.
So it's a world earth principle that as a human being, if you'll just tap into this created principle, the principle of creation, you can't go wrong.
That's
you can't
amazing.
go wrong.
I love it.
So,
and I think it's cool that we were talking about hurdles and it went to here's how you get through hurdles and reward yourself. But then it went to, in life and in general, this is how you produce the results that even make those hurdles worthwhile. And so, this has been a whole heck of a lot of fun.
I got one more little twist on it. So one of the things that's a major dopamine hit for me is giving away my connections. Okay. So I love. If you and I ever sat and had coffee or a lunch or whatever, the whole time we're talking, I'm thinking, who do I need to introduce this person to?
That's good.
What relationship do I need to share? And because I'm so generous in my relationships, I'm very rich in relationships.
Because you're sowing relationships. You're planting the seed of relationship and you're receiving.
Principle. So I'm constantly looking for who does this person need to meet? Because if this person could meet this person, they could work together in the synergy that happens. And then again, my reward is watching. I know people that are so stingy, they don't want their friends, one group of friends, to meet another group of friends, because what if that friend and this friend became better friends than they are with that friend, and now they're jealous. For me, it's like if I can give that relationship away, I got a relationship right now that I'm strained in one relationship, And then I have another relationship that those two people are friends, and I have a strain here, and it's
Called
putting a
love
little.
triangle.
Well, it's not that gross, but here. Why don't you use my elephant trunk?
no.
But we, you have. Sorry, it's a bad thing. But now I've got this relationship where I've got a little bit of weird strain in this relationship, and it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't given this relationship to that relationship. But it's worth it in the end, because if that relationship can help that relationship, then maybe the strain that we have can get better, because I gave the gift of this person to that person, and ultimately it's all going to work out.
So what's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story
that
is
was confusing too.
Sorry.
I'm like trying to follow. I'm like whiteboarding it in my mind.
yeah,
Wait a minute. This relationship A to relationship B to C.
Yeah, it's the bizarre love triangle apparently. But the idea is, even when you have hurdles in those relationships. Some people are so stingy, they don't want to give a relationship away because it could cost them or it could whatever. Yeah. For me, it's all about, I know I'm going to reap. Yeah. I know I'm going to harvest because I'm generous. I'm giving, I'm planting.
So many people hold back because they say it's mine. My wife, she grew up with a lot of siblings, not as many as I did, but she grew up with a lot of siblings, and the culture in their family was very much like segmented, like this is my food in the fridge, this is your food, all this stuff. And so she grew up with that mentality, and I'm like, but don't you understand? Like, and that traveled into everything. And I'm like, don't you understand? Like, when we got married, I was like, the more you let go and the more you give of anything, the more you get. And it's like, if you want more, the irony is you don't hold it. You get rid of it. And it's like, you cannot get rid of whatever it is that you want fast enough, because it will come back so... Gosh, and it's exponential. It's no longer, it's not a linear, there's my speech impediment. It's not a linear process where it's like, I'm going to give $10 to a thing and I expect $10 back or $20 back. It's not like that. It's the more you keep sowing, the larger and larger and larger exponentially those rewards in so many ways you never even thought. So.
Well, and there's different qualities of soil.
Ooh.
There's different. So, I mean, you can have, individuals or organizations. Yeah. So it's like, I would be careful. Don't just give to any organization. Yeah. You better figure it out and make sure they're good soil. Because you could give, you give to the Clinton Foundation. It's just going to Bill's pocket.
Politics. All right, we're done talking. Thank you very much for tuning into the lab. This has been fun. We're going to cut off right at the politics right there. But you guys are awesome, and we really appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit subscribe, like this video, and next week will be a whole lot of fun. We've got some cool things planned and everything. I haven't even told Joel yet what we're doing. So excited for that, and we will hang out with you guys in Discord. So thank you very much for watching. We'll talk soon.